Renekton, Wayward, we did say he is very, very good at kind of mastering those lanes against less confident top laners. Juice has had some good games, but he has not necessarily been a consistent top laner. RNG now might be trying a different flavor. Tangyuan trying to go towards similar pick, but Huanfeng going towards a reposition AD carry instead.
Yeah, I actually like that. Get a little bit of dive potential right now on the side of RNG. I want to see them follow that up. Maybe the Vi even coming through as a bit of a viable pick, but they definitely want a little bit of AP of their own right as well. We'll see what their final pick of this first phase is going to be. Team WE have all the eggs in their basket, and now they just have to choose which one they want. It is going to be the Lilia and the Corki locked in.
So, WE, they get themselves a different flavor. They get themselves Yanshen, who is still completely happy to play around the Renekton as the Lilia. As we said, when Renekton is playing with a skill shot / inconsistent damage dealing AP jungler, he just puts them on easy mode, whether that's Nidalee Spears or Talia combos, or in this case the Lilia with the W. It is so easy to play around this on the top side, and you have to probably lock in the Cassante now just to say, right, if you're going forwards for a stun, I can press W, go unstoppable, and get myself out of that play. But Juice is probably going to be, again, eating a bad laning phase, which is not really what RNG wants to have to deal with, considering that Wayward tends to take winning lanes and win games with them.
That's the most difficult thing, and that's why giving, blind pick Renekton has been so interesting to watch as a whole in the LPL. It is into the second phase, though, where RNG fan away the Xayah from the last game for Team WE, so taking away the bit of the safety against Abel, but maybe still some viable bot laners available to them. It will be the Olaf focus for WE.
I'm so surprised that they ban out that Xayah. Like, I get that Abel played it in the last game. I don't feel like it was the champion which really ended up causing problems there. They banned the Zeri as well, so that is two of the better backline AD carries. The Ezreal's gone as well, the Misfortune's gone. Okay, maybe at this point, okay, now I do see the angle. Now it's going to be harder for Abel to either reposition or peel for himself, so you have to start asking, what is he going to bring out? He has only played the Zeri, the Kai'Sa, and the Xayah for Team WE so far, so you'll have to pick up something new in this phase.
Very interested at some of the bans coming out from Team WE here. Thinking some spice might be on the table for RNG. It will be the Olaf Graves combo taken away. The Wukong immediately locked in by RNG as we go into the second phase now.
Wukong going to be very, very nice to get onto a less mobile, less safe AD carry. So they ban away some of the safer AD carries, and now Abel is left considering his options. You can go towards that Aphelios, who is kind of hard to defend in some ways because he's a mobile, kind of easy to defend because he does so much damage and gets so much random healing that you can just kind of defend himself by killing anyone who comes at him. With the Renata, you get that bailout. It's a very dominant laning phase duo as well. The Kai'Sa can start to suffer alongside that. If you go towards something like a Nautilus, the Nautilus tends to suffer against the Renata, so you have to start considering your options. Blitzcrank's better into the Renata, it's worse for the Kai'Sa, so I wonder he's kind of hovering over different options and wondering what gives the best compromise of laning phase and then the team fight engage. You might just have to lock in that Nautilus and say, oh well, we lose it, and they go towards the Bard instead. An I1D Classic.
Really love to see that, but I really like the Renata here. When we talked about the draft kicking off, it's all about like dive, about backline access, about following through for RNG, and a hostile takeover is going to change all of that right outside of it. So it's going to be a lot about execution for RNG here.
It absolutely is, because it's going to be a little hard to play against the Aphelios Renata in lane. It's going to be a little hard to play against the Renekton in topside. Yangshen looks like he has a pretty okay option in this game. So worth noting that Wukong isn't always great versus Lilia, because if you try and escape backwards with your clone and you already have the Dream Dust on you, your clone does not save you from that ultimate. You can't escape from that one. So a bit of a harder job coming in from that Wukong as well, which is not necessarily what you want to have for a jungler which just got blasted in that last game. RNG, it is a different look though, hopefully with I1D on a classic pick for him, which he has succeeded on multiple times before. Hopefully that will give the direction which RNG are really sorely looking for.
They have a little bit of direction in their style of composition, but now they need to find it together on the Rift. Team WE had such a smashing time in that game number one. Led off by the blind pick, reunited again for Wayward here, but really sticking with a lot of the pieces that worked in that game number one. So consistency is key for Team WE, but we look to this reunion matchup where Team WE smashed RNG 2-0 to kick off their splits, and at least in that placement stage. And now RNG were the ones that denied WE from any hope of getting in to that group ascend in this Rumble stage after losing to LGD. Now, as revenge has it, Team WE looking to take a 2-0 sweep. Fans still kicking as we hear Xi'an, Team WE's home arena, come to life. All that energy put to good use so far with the strong start.
And Team WE, you know, they've always had a pretty decent fan base, and they've, you know, I think they've moved between different arenas in Team WE, but they've kind of, not within Team WE, within Xi'an, they've played in different arenas within the city. They have always kind of kept themselves a location base there, though. And I think that's helped really bring up some location-based fans for them. RNG walking for that level 1, just forcing off the Lilia from the Raptor start, which means that Yangxian will have to go towards the Wolves instead. Tangyuan's going to try and get himself back onto this mid lane, but luckily for him, isn't going to get himself minion aggro somehow, some way there. And Yangxian will have to try and find himself a camp steal from RNG's jungle to get themselves back into parity.
And I'll just say FoFo, he definitely stole the stage of that last game, having a really, really good Corki game, but Tangyuan was no slouch. That Tristana was getting to a point of power. We'll see if he can kind of continue that one with maybe some help from the rest of his team. We do end up seeing the Chicky Nuggy stolen by Geju and right back to his side of the jungle.
Tristana jumping forwards, getting himself level 2. Sadly didn't have that bomb, but the jump is also okay in terms of base damage early, and it gives you a range to keep getting those auto attacks down. Yangxian, he will end up taking those chickens in a very, very quick style. The problem is now, you have a Renekton who's playing strong side, and also because you took a long time on your invade, Abel and Mark are really able to push in. Now, Aphelios isn't a champion at level 1, because you don't actually get an ability at level 1, you just switch between your weapons. You unlock your Q for every weapon you cycle through at level 2. By the way, I know this is kind of a rarity. I sat there and I learned all of the individual Aphelios, not just the weapon names, but the ability names. Can you remember the Aphelios? This is a pop quiz for you, Mazel. Can you remember Aphelios' weapons ability names?
That's a great question. Off the top of my head, I mean, I know the guns, but the abilities are a little bit of a question mark.
I feel bad, because that feels like such a niche thing. So, from what I remember, the rifle is Moonshot.
Yeah.
The pistols, Severum, that
Binding
is
Eclipse for the Gravitum.
Binding Eclipse for that one. Duskwave for the flamethrower, and the last one, the Crescendum, is Sentinel Turret. So that's all 5 of them. And now I did have a bit of fun as well. I think it was Sentinel Turret, but okay, maybe there you go.
Did I get?
The thing is though, what I'm kind of sad at is they didn't also name the ultimate, so I tried to come up with some names myself. So when you shoot with the rifle, you get the mark afterwards. You get that long range auto. So that is Ace in the Calibrum. Get it, Kayla dollars? That's cool. I think that the rooting ultimate with the well, hang on, look. Oh no, they're going to ignore my TED talk on this. They're going to just go for the gauge.
We're going to look bot side a little bit. We can always return to the conversation about the gun.
If only Abel had the ultimate for the Gravitum, and that is the Moonlight Varus, because you root everyone. Yeah, you see,
okay,
like that.
You're really stretching here.
Yeah. What about this one then? The Mega Infernum bomb when you throw out the flamethrower ultimate.
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty good.
God.
But my favorite one is the healing ultimate when you fire out with the Severum, which is much like Vladimir, the emo plague.
Who let this man do this?
Yeah, I just had far too much time.
Can we get the mute button? No, those are actually pretty good.
Thank you.
I like it. As a dad joke enjoyer.
If anyone has any suggestions for the Crescendum, because I can't think of anything for that right now, that would complete the set.
Gotta have something along the lines of like singing, maybe. I don't know. Now, I want to check in a little bit on the map state since we spent time talking about the guns. We also got to talk about how early we get these, at least advances from Geju, because he's the one that I feel like needs to be pretty proactive in this kind of setup.
Well, he ended up getting that early invade, which could help towards bot side. They get the flash out of Mark, and it stops the Aphelios Renata being quite as lane dominant and allows the Kai'Sa bar to be a lane which Geju can continue to play around. But it's going to be quite hard for this Wukong to get big team fights in the way that he wants, because one, you have the Renata there for the ultimate. Two, Wukong diving into a team which has you know, the Lilia as well can be quite problematic. The way that Team W are likely going to be positioning is having Yang Xiang stood slightly apart from the team, fishing for swirl seeds. You might be able to catch FoFo and Abel in one burst, but it's going to be really hard to stop Yang Xiang from getting value. He's going to look to dive Juice right now, and Juice does have flash.
Juice is in a lot of trouble here. He's going to try to get his way out. Does have the dash. Wayward going to take priority over the turret. TP is available for Juice, but that'll be a turret play going over to Team WE, and more top lane pressure here as grubs are spawning.
So, one of the annoying things about being ganked by a DOT champion like Brand or Lily, wow, that is such a Chad recall from Wayward. But one of the bonuses of getting like a burn champion into a lane like this is that it takes longer to reset, because you're sat there like, oh, I got hit by a skill shot, I'm going to walk backwards. And then you can't channel your recall until the burn finishes. And that means that you get later back on your teleport back into the lane there. So Juice doesn't lose the cannon, just lose the cannon. He loses an extra minion on top of that. As well, Wayward, because the wave was so heavily pushed back in as well, doesn't even need to use his teleport. Yan Xian takes a very easy gank on top side, keeps his flash, doesn't necessarily want to trade flash for flash with a Kasance, gets himself those grubs. Geju is trying to contest more farm here, but he doesn't have level 6. If he gets this camp, it gets close, but he's not going to be there off of this camp.
Yeah, Yang Xiang is very close to level 6, if he can maybe steal away a little bit of this. But Geju's going to fight for this one. Mark is on the way. They have a pincer maneuver they could pull off here. It is going to be Geju securing most of that, though.
Yeah, so they deny Yang Xian getting the level 6 off that camp. If a smite still, well, Yang Xian had used the smite on the grubs, but if there was a steal of the grubs coming through, potentially you could have gone for a big lilting lullaby after that point. In the last game, Yang Xian managed to catch out Geju with a quick level 6, getting off of those, the last of the grubs that came through. He's going to give himself level 6 off of the Krugs, and now suddenly Yang Xian has a real point of power. Fated Ashes helps the clear speed an awful lot, and you have that ultimate, and you're also on bot side to help out Abel and Mark should something come through. Geju isn't going to have to deal with the hostile takeover just yet. Mark will need another wave or two. Looks like Abel got some solo XP just while Iwandi and Mark were both roaming across the map.
About 1,000 gold and laning advantages right now for Team WE to start off the game. Not much to speak of. Obviously, very likely to be a bit tipsy-turvy there, but we are going to get the redeploy from Yan Xiang out onto the top side of the map. And I wonder if they want to revisit this Wayward setup a little bit to try to get him even farther ahead, as he has the CS advantage already.
He has some options. He can either go towards top lane and try and get something out of that. Because the grubs aren't up for a couple of minutes, Yang Xian probably doesn't want to invest time there now. He's probably going to go towards top to bot, help Abel and Mark crash in the wave because it's just bounced back towards them, and then he'll probably go towards another topside play on a better timing for the grubs on that point, because that will probably take a minute or two to get themselves into a good position. So Yang Xian's going to clear top to bot side, help Abel and Mark get themselves a reset if they want to. Abel and Mark are going to then reset, get themselves towards top side, and hopefully they can go towards a fight towards those grubs over there as well. So WE in position to try and fight towards 6 grubs, because the bot lane gets himself an easy reset through that. Huanfeng is going to be late on the roam as well, which is a bit of a problem. He's just stayed to clear up an extra wave in that bot side. Means he's not top side to help in terms of AD carry versus AD carry.
Ooh, all out, going a little bit on the other side. Wayward going to get the slice and dice distance there. Juice trying to follow him up, but the gank was coming up towards that side. Iwandi trying to be impactful here on the map as well.
So now we have this situation where, because of this play on top side where Juice has kind of misused his ultimate, Wayward doesn't die. Wayward can stay for another wave, he can recall if he wants. Abel doesn't even feel the need to be on top side at this point because of these changes. I think if it were kind of like a closer fight, Abel would have roamed up towards there, now fighting towards this mid lane. Grubs spawning in that extra minute, so again, I feel like that's really what's on the table here from Team WE.
Abel going to walk in here. He does have a bit of the Severum with the barrier as well. He's going to immediately Moonlight Vigil a lot of damage. He's going for it. The genius is going to strut his stuff all over Huanfeng. Does immediately get traded down by Geju.
Abel uses the barrier and gets himself that gold standard 3-weapon switch, starts racking up the chakrams with the Severum, with the blender combo, goes through into the rifle turrets, which give you those auto attacks, resets every time the turret hits a champion. And then Abel gets a huge play out of that, with the ultimate also being committed. So Abel gets himself a bit of a flex of the muscles there. Does manage to get the ultimate out of Gerju too, which means he won't really be able to influence the team fights in the way he would like to. Yes, it is double summoners away from the FLO, so we can't make that play again. But again, watch how he goes towards this. He has himself the Severum, Crescendum, the red-white, the blender combo, uses that, switches through into the rifle turret. This is the S plus 3-weapon switch. Gets himself full value out of that Sentinel turret as well, and even gets a free ultimate out of Gerju.
Honestly, even though he died in the end, it was like way overextended. Please just take a snapshot of that. ADC players, go watch that. That was incredible. I want to see that in some montages as well. Really good opportunity from Abel to strut his stuff, as I said. And now very close to that first item. He's going to have a bit of pressure on Huanfeng. That is the Grubs on the other side. All 6 of them as Grubageddon has struck the rift.
The Zerg Rush is online. Construct as many pylons as you still can, and see if you can survive.
You need additional.
You need so many at this point. RNG, they need so many at this point. It is going to be a very difficult phase in the game now, because you have a Renekton who is going to be hitting turrets very well. The Tristana, who would like to be hitting turrets for the side of RNG, won't have those grubs now as well, so it's harder to get Tangyuan into a position where he can get good side lane goal. And also, you have an Aphelios in this game. If Aphelios gets the Crescendum and gets the Chakrams rattling through onto the turret, that is going to absolutely be a tower threat as well. So WE, very, very fine early game for them. They have leads in the places where they want. They do need to be aware of this Wukong coming online very, very shortly, going towards Triforce as that first item. But as it stands, Abel is ready to start popping. Doesn't have those summoners yet, though.
They are full rapid around. I think Team WE sniffed that something's going wrong. Oh my god, the CC chain there as well with the lilting lullaby on top of it. Tangyuan is trying to get away from harm's distance, but now Yang Xiang on the other side getting Gerju. And now Team WE actually get a big pick, but they have to be careful because the flash is coming out from Juice, and Juice is going all out. Is he going to be able to survive? He does end up getting one back, but he goes down himself, and the entire time, Wayward has been taking the topside turret.
But what is Juice thinking? Teleports in after the play is already done, flashes and ults to get one back, but it's a 1-for-1, all things said and done. Wayward stays topside, so all of this is still a grand 4 versus 5 from WE, which they win out on. They get themselves the extra kill from that play, and RNG are really left reeling yet again. They are struggling for direction as a team. They have made some snap roster decisions, and it hasn't really been working out for them. They're going to get themselves a dragon on this bot side of the map, but this might be a bit of a spoiler warning. I'm pretty sure they're not going to survive through it to a soul if things keep going this way. Yangshen's also down here too. Doesn't have the flash, but Iwandi's low.
Oh, Swirlsy gonna not hit the mark there in the end. Dragon number 2 for RNG. Be something to write home about there at least. A little bit dicey there is going to smite it away. So Team WE getting a little bit more presence on the map. They will have the lane assignments re-swapped now, though.
So, let's go look back at this big skirmish down on the bot side. Tangyuan manages to find out Yangsheng, who flashes backwards. I think that's the right call. Big combo comes through. Luckily, Iwandi on his bard saves this from going to absolute hell right from the start of it, but it's not quite enough to get them the aggressive front foot. And Gerju sees an option to go onto the summonerless Aphelios, but it's not enough to get through the entire HP bar. You're not that fed yet, buddy. This is the problem where I think it really comes to bear at this point, though. Yes, you get yourself a kill back, but the bailout's not even been used, and Juice ends up dying while the Renekton gets a huge amount of gold. 2,000 gold up now is Wayward in the individual matchup, once again showing that he has the Renekton pass at least in this series, and he's going to be able to roll across that advantage even easier with that 6 grubs. If he gets himself onto any sort of open lane, RNG are going to be regretting that. That's
a big croc. That's a very, very big croc. I think also just the confidence to be able to pick that one up so quickly for Team WE gives them so much to play around now as well. They are going to use some of that top lane presence to take this Rift Herald, as we see a bit of plates hadn't been taken by Abel in mid lane.
Yeah, so 6 grubs, 7 crescendum for the red-white. Yeah, 3 turret plates immediately gone. So we were saying that, okay, Corki with 6 grubs, that can be dangerous. The Renekton is killing turrets as well. Yes, Crescendum Aphelios is one of the best tower killing AD carries in the game at the same time. Gets himself really good weapon management this game. You know, the 3-weapon switch earlier, the The Mega Infernum Bomb that came out just before this point helped in that last team fight too, and then getting himself into red-white to hit that turret, really, really helping. I think weapon management is kind of the premier skill for an FLS. You need to be worried about your positioning and a lot of stuff, but the way you play out the entire game is dependent on what weapons you are playing around next. You choose what you're doing next in the next 30 seconds to minute to whatever, depending on the weapons that you're going to have, and you can conserve ammo for that kind of point. One of the big things that you can see is, particularly when you're on the utility weapons, when you're on the Infernum Gravitum, the blue-purple, you keep both of them on very low ammunition, so you can use them for their big ability, which is what they're there for, either the root or that big kind of AoE sweep across a wave or something like that. And so you can immediately switch out of both of them and get into your fighting weapons of the red-white after that point. That kind of technique, amongst others, can really help you get into the position where you have the right weapons for the job, and that is a huge difference in how you impact the game.
Well, luckily, Abel has a couple trench cloaks there to hide all the weapons in. At least, so he'll have 2 of the cloaks available to him. Now, RNG are trying to look for as many picks as possible. We talked about their kind of dive composition. I think that's something to look at going forward here, because there has been a pretty hefty lead gained by WE out of seemingly nowhere with all those plates and things going down. 4,000 gold at 16 minutes.
Yeah, and the problem is now you're playing a dive comp onto an Aphelios who is ahead of the game with the barrier and a Renata, and with this build as well, if you fail your dive and you can't kill off the Aphelios before he casts his ultimate, you are going to get shredded. The Infinity Edge is there. For those of you that don't know as well, when Aphelios casts his ultimate, anyone hit by that ultimate also gets a follow-up auto-attack on them at the point afterwards, which means you can crit with the Aphelios ultimate. With an Infinity Edge and 2 crit cloaks, you don't want to be letting him ult you into a clump. They do end up using the Bard ult to save that turret. I don't think it's going to save it because of the 6 scrubs. Abel going in, get you.
Just wants to make sure, but the turret goes down anyways. TP on the other side, though. Juice trying to get Abel. He's going to all out into the rest of the team, and that's huge. They do get him. The dive comp comes up successful, and it will be Huanfeng that gets the kill.
Okay, greedy by Abel. Just flash away from the wall. Don't let yourself die like that. That felt like it was really greedy, and it means that Juice gets to pull back through the wall. All the same, WE, they get themselves that mid lane out of turret, and they're also going to be able to get themselves the bot lane very, very easily with the Triforce 6 Grubs Corki in this bot side too. It is something for RNG to get a kill onto that Aphelios. Gotta say though, Abel had he had all the tools available to survive through that. He just maybe just wanted to save his flash, but in that case, why use the barrier? I'm not sure.
Questions we may never know the answer to. As we get into the replay here, we'll take a look back at how exactly that happened.
So, Abel stands up. Get away from the wall. In fact,
he walked towards the wall.
Just flash away from it if you need to. Get away from the wall. Walls are not your friend if there's a Kasane there. You had flash. Oh, well, whatever. Gonna get himself towards the second item anyway, and he saved that flash now. I mean, look, if he uses that flash really well in this fight, we will forgive him. But that looks a little bad for now.
He was looking for all the weapons and the cloaks that he has. That's
right.
Sometimes
Yeah, distracted by that.
The dragon's already going down right now by RNG. That'll be 3rd dragon in a row for them. So they're on soul point now, and that is pretty huge. Because now they might actually get collapsed on by Team WE, but it's really mid lane that they're looking for.
There's only 2 minions left. They have themselves demolished. Bardot to save the turret. Okay, Iwandi trying to save as much gold from that as possible. Will it save it? The demolish wasn't charged up quite in time.
All out just came up for Juice. They do end up saving it at least that time around, but now the next minion wave coming in with a cannon as well will secure that for Team WE. So a tier 2 tower goes down, and they can move throughout this topside jungle.
Yeah, and you can, okay, they're highlighting the build in here as well. We already talked about this. It's a whole lot of crit. He'll be going towards, his second item after this point out of one of those crit cloaks. But the whole thing about Aphelios is that you can sometimes feel really not great. Wayward's just dying. As we were talking about builds, Wayward dies.
No!
He tried to greed for a wave push in to get his demolish on that top lane turret, I think, but just not in the position to do so. But they highlighted that build, talked about it before. Aphelios really benefits from crit. Infinity Edge has a whole boatload of stats, but when you fire that first ultimate as Aphelios, it's quite easy to feel like you don't do any damage because the crit doesn't come through afterwards. The crit on your ultimate often ends up meaning you get those big montage plays. So he's just itemizing towards the quick burst. And Wayward, as we saw, greeted for a push in with the 6 grubs demolish and topside and dies for it. So sad situation for him.
And just to highlight Abel a little bit more, I mean, we talked about the Genius ADC label, but it's not just a name for no reason. Why he was innovating a lot of bot lane strategies and things like that. And I think seeing a couple builds like this where it's maybe a little bit of a head tilter to the naked eye, it's trying to opt into the best strategies for the composition and for the play itself, at least around the Aphelios. So now that we're getting back onto the map with a little bit of a reset city here for Team WE, they have so much strength, still 4,000 gold up, and they have a lot of say in how the map is dictated at this point.
They do. They did go over that soul point. That's kind of dangerous, given that it is quite early into the game. It's quite hard to end the game in the next 3 minutes before RNG could potentially even just look for a steal around that. Wukong pretty good at getting himself into a pit with the E and the W, being able to kind of just keep going forwards and look for a smite steal. So there is a chance that RNG just kind of try and turtle up, try and get themselves into a position where they can fight towards that dragon. And if WE also kind of go towards a Baron rush, there's also a chance that even if they have to reset after that point, RNG could potentially look for a dragon after that first objective is taken. So some worries here for WE in regards to that Dragon Soul win condition. Well, okay, not a win condition, but the bonus that RNG would get towards it. They are far enough behind that it is not a win condition. And you're also into an absurdly Fred Aphelios as well, and the second item that will be coming through onto FoFo very soon.
Yeah, we got a lot of second items across. Tangyuan and Huanfeng, more importantly, have theirs as well, so a little bit of strength for RNG in that regard. And you can see they're starting to move around the map with that, because if they can catch somebody in the wrong position, they will all be able to join. Tangyuan being able to take this turret as the Tristana, pretty strong. The Devori Quick Blade helping in that regard. It was the Liandry's completed for Yan Xiang as well, though, bringing a little bit more power to the Lilia.
That can, yes, the double burn, especially when you are the sole AP on your team, really, really hurts. RNG in top side. Gerju can potentially go forwards, looking for the Swirl Seeds. Flash available for the Yangqian.
Oh my goodness, they do so much damage. He's got the bailout, though, and gets the Lilting Lullaby off just in time, but it's not going to matter. Tangyuan moving forward now as well. Tempered Fate going to set up the fight here. Look at Juice. He's got the entrance. Moonlight Vigil from Abel, though, but it doesn't do enough damage on the spread. Now Juice in some trouble, though. Abel's going to be able to clean that one up with the help of Wayward. It's RNG with 4 bodies strong, though, moving over towards this top side.
I mean, I thought that the entire team fight was going to end off with that big Infernum ultimate. Not the case. Abel still full HP and has both summoners, so RNG can't really contest anything. They do get some good kills, and that means that they're going to be able to push WE away from some of these objectives for a little while. Dragon is now up in a minute. What was used that was important that won't be up in a minute? Iwandi gets himself this wall stun here. This forces the flash out of Lilia as they go down. That can be... Oh no, so the flash wasn't used. That's important. So that's still up. But the fact that Wukong uses the flash, that is important. The fact that he won't have that for the potential soul point is very, very impactful. Similar with Juice, flashing to get a fight here. It feels like they're fighting for the sake of fighting. If they had found this fight a minute later so they could take the dragon, this would be potentially game-changing. The fact that they don't and it's too early means they are now bereft of some of those tools around what could be the most important fight of the game for them. They don't have a couple of key flashes going towards that objective, and they won't even have themselves the Bard ultimate.
Gerju gets about half his health bar taken out from him there as well. RNG just playing very well around a couple of the moments. And really, honestly, heads-up play for moving apart from the Moonlight Vigil now. Yan Xiang going forward here, still has the flash, going for the Lilting Lullaby. Not going to find the combo. Gerju, though, he was on the back line, goes down already. There's the Lilting Lullaby, and Huanfeng joins his teammate in the dirt. Nice little explosive shot. Almost taking down FoFo in the end. And that is WE all-man strong, going to the dragon and denying the soul of RNG.
No flash on Juice, no flash on Gerju, makes that fight so much harder, and Abel uses his barrier to go forward to start flinging those chakrams towards RNG. They stop that soul, they can go straight up towards the Baron, knowing that there's no response from the dragon from RNG available. They should be able to shred right the way through this. Tangyuan is even going to be ignored here on the backside because they just rather just DPS this down. Abel is going to start stacking up on the chakrams, and this thing will shred with the double burn and the 80 carries.
They might come to regret leaving him there, but the Baron going down very quickly. They just got to get the smite off, and that will be secured by Team WE. RNG not going too much further unless Juice overextends here. He's got to be a little bit careful. Going to push his way out of that one. All out as well. Wayward pulls back now. FoFo a little bit in harm's way. Abel, the one in target's focus now, but they have so much damage back. Look at him step forward. That's the genius here, and you might as well call him Einstein, as they're getting everything they came for. Abel steps up, and confidence is key, baby.
RNG might have let in kills for a short while in this game, but it did feel like it was going to be so hard. Huanfeng has the ultimate. Not going to jump forward onto FoFo. Might be the end of him. Huanfeng really struggling to get involved in the game in the same way that Abel is. RNG have a dive comp, but they are not killing the carries in the way that they want to. Abel sat there at 2 items at that fight, now onto 3 beyond this. Very, very happy to play around this. Going back towards that dragon fight, no flash on top jungle. Abel gets to just use juice as a way to stack up the crescendum. Chakram is just flying forwards. And there's no one with the damage to go through the barrier of Felios beyond this point. The fight gets split. The overengage too far. Huanfeng gets absolutely ripped to shreds as Abel follows through with that onslaught. And then beyond this point, I mean, there's no smite. They can just hold the door shut.
You wonder, why is he building all that crit? Well, there you go. You almost one-shot Huanfeng with like 1 bullet. Incredible combos there, but then this right here, the step up, the flash. He is confident.
And this confidence is so earned at this point. I mean, there's no threat to it. I think Abel, this is the extra forward potential you get from adding Abel to your roster. WE, they've had a revolving door of AD carries. Abel has been very, very hard to get under the skin of, which was not always the case between him and PP God and OMG. The fact that he's come here on Team WE, been hard to get under the skin of, and then also been a huge late game playmaker for his team, has given WE an extra string to their bow. It feels like they have started to level up as a team, kind of much needed, especially after their drop down into the Nirvana group, which they're currently in.
3 years on that OMG squad. 3 years of being on the outskirts and the potential dark horses, but now he finds himself on Team WE and finds himself in a promising position time and time again for them. Now we see them sieging this top tier too, as Wandi almost just dies, has to burn the heal. Now Huanfeng is the one that's going to pay the ultimate price as he killer instincts to buy a little bit of time. FoFo cleans that one up, and now Team WE moving forward with the siege to end all sieges. They want revenge for that locking out of Group Ascend by RNG at the finishing of the placement stage. Wayward, though, in some trouble here. He is going to get the Stairx gauge popped, and he's still alive. Now the rest of RNG have to run away. Geju is on the wrong side of the tracks here. FoFo not going to chase him down because Team WE know what they came for, and they're looking to end.
Wayward even uses the Wukong clone for an extra source of healing from his Q. It is just all disaster for RNG. The ship is sinking. They can change the planks on it, but the results are the same.
They're going in. Tangyuan barely alive. Now they just need to wait for the minions to come through, and the last turret is falling. There is nothing left but a barren wasteland, and it might have been a 1-1 series split in that placement stage, but Team WE, they want to make good on that one. They're going to try to overextend maybe a little bit as RNG have a little bit of fight left to give, but no, they don't. Abel steps them up and sits them down as everybody's starting to fall apart. Abel, he's looking to clean house here. Team WE are making it a short day here so far as well, as they'll take a sweep over RNG and improve to 2-0.
Abel looking more like his brother, Kane, the original murderer, takes control of that game on the FLS with all of his weapons of war. WE, this AD carry change, the AD carry change the entire year have raised eyebrows. We've kind of been wondering, when does the revolving door stop? When are they happy with the player which they bring into the roster? I think they'll be happy with this. It was an organized game. It is against RNG. I think RNG continuing to keep that moniker of, right now, worst team in the LPL. But WE, make sure that this game was never in doubt. They are in control of both of these games, realistically, start to finish.
Yeah, that first game was a smackaroosies. This one a little bit closer. You actually had a lot of dragon priority by RNG and trying to utilize that, but again, some of the failings, some of the pieces kind of falling apart at the key moments. But really, it is that decision-making from Team WE that we're seeing come to fruition here to some extent. I think the